So there's the quote by Swaki Roshi that sitting's good for nothing. And I've also heard like sitting can be used to find your true nature and like find out who you really are. And it seems like those two things are kind of paradoxical. Sometimes I feel like it's more like the one, and sometimes I feel like it's more the other. I mean, maybe they're both pointing at the same thing. It's hard to express in language. So that's easy to answer. Who you really are is good for nothing.
What was the question? You can hear me.
Oh, really? Okay, I'll repeat the question. Swaki Roshi, famous Zen master from Japan, middle of the last century, died in the 60s. One of the main teachers of my teacher, so very influential to me and to certain other people. And his style of teaching, so some teachers, their style of words is build something up that gives you faith, and you go forward to faith. And then, but usually when you do that, you go forward to some make-believe attachment you've made, and you get in trouble eventually. So other teachers, their style is cut down. Cut off all the things you believe. So you're left with nothing, and nothing means you inherit everything. When your own ideas, when your own specific self-centered ideas all drop away, you're open to everything. So there's a negative and a positive style, but they're both the same thing, right? So Aki Roshi, usually negative style. So he said, why do we sit in meditation, in Zazen? He says, if you're trying to do Zazen to get something, you don't understand Zazen. If you're doing meditation to get something, if you're doing spiritual practice to achieve something, you don't understand spiritual practice. Achieving something is what the ego does. Is what always going after something. That's what makes suffering, actually. And that's what denies the divine reality, that everything is exactly as it needs to be, as it is beautifully, beyond your idea. So Aki Roshi said, Zazen, which is the practice he advocated the most, was the most sacred to him. He said, Zazen is good for nothing. Sure. Nothing is nothing. You have to put it down. And then sometimes the response we have, we say things like good and beauty and love. But if we make an idea about it, we've lost it. So Andy's question was, what? What's your name? What's that?
Just turn the screen off.
Oh, it's still going. Andy's question was, some teachers say doing meditation is a practice to find your true self, discover your true self. That's positive achievement language. And so Waki Roshi says it's good for nothing. It's no use at all. That's negative language. But it's the same thing. And what I said is, who you really are is good for nothing. So this at first sounds not so exciting. Also, famous teaching, be hopeless. Everything's completely hopeless. It doesn't sound so good. Until we really watch our mind, watch our experience, we play honest, objective as we can be, clear observation of our mind and how suffering arises and how freedom arises. And we notice when we have a hope for something in the future, we have discontent immediately. We have fear, maybe it'll come, maybe it won't. Maybe we're excited because we think it'll come, but we're ignoring what we have now. We're denying the beauty that's happening now, and we're putting our stake in some future make-believe. Even if it turns out like we want it to, it won't be as satisfying as we hope. So hope is a disease, is a dis-ease. So we say become hopeless. The same for who you really are is good for nothing. Good for something is you do something now in order to get some result later. There's always discontent in that because you don't have what you want. You're getting the goods later. Then when it comes later, it's not so good, and then you want something else. And it goes on forever, right? This is samsara. So utilitarian, we use that, it's fine in mundane affairs. We do something in order to get some result. We go cook our meal in order to fill our stomach. That's no problem. But if you try to continue that mindset in spiritual practice, I'm doing something in order to get some result later, we're perpetuating the mind that stays in past and future, stays in hopes and fears. It's all your personal conditioning. It's all your ideology. It's all stuff that when you look objectively, you realize, this is just my conditioning. It just comes and goes. It's not real. The whole idea of getting ultimate freedom or clarity or love or union with the divine, whatever kind of words you like to use. To enter into that, we have to relinquish all the crap we have in front of that, all the stuff we're holding as ourselves, which is, I'm going to get something. Right? On a gross level, I'm going to get success and money and fame and a big house and a big car, right? That's pretty easy to let go of that stuff for this circle, I think. We know that that doesn't bring happiness. But then we put our spiritual stuff on. I'm going to get special awakening. I'm going to get good feelings. I'm going to get adulate. People are going to think I'm very spiritual, all this stuff. All that we have to relinquish as well. Who are we really? Beneath this barrage of this endless cycling of hopes and fears and expectations and self-concern and the drama and story of our life, beneath that, that all comes and goes. That all changes all the time, depending on the conditions that arise and fall away. What's always here? What's always reliable? What's deeper than our thinking? What's deeper than our story? What's deeper than our character that we sometimes are proud of and sometimes really critical of? More of the time we're critical of, most of us. That's just a movie playing. What's beneath that? Something that's good for nothing, meaning it's not made to get something else in the future. It's fulfilled now. It's complete now. It lacks nothing. Why does it lack nothing? Because no idea of wanting something else arises. It's unlimited. Why is it unlimited? Because no idea of limitation arises. Awareness itself, as it is, has no boundary, has no limit, has no past and future. Not being produced by your character. Your character is being produced by awareness. And it can cease being produced. In fact, it does often. It arises and ceases, arises and ceases. Different aspects of your character arise and cease. And awareness is always bright. Your character's in time. You think about where you coming from, who you used to be, your hometown, your birth time, and you think of the future, what you want to accomplish, where you think you're going to go. and then it gets a little fuzzy at death. We don't want to think about that too much, but we're aware sometime it ends. This is just a story. It's also, there's emotions attached to it, but those only arise when we're believing the story. When we let go of the story, that's relinquished. What is it then? One of the many quotes that I enjoy bringing up of the Korean teacher Sangha, Descartes says, when he's speaking to Westerners, he likes to bring up, Descartes says, "I think, therefore I am." I say, when you're not thinking, then what? Hold on a sec. Let's just let that resonate for a second.
I am, therefore I would think.
When not thinking, then what? What is it? Can't solve that by thinking again, because it's when not thinking, then what?
There's an evil demon deceiving the cards.
Is that thinking?
It's the Roman Catholic dogma, the Antichrist.
So it's thinking, isn't it?
Isaac Newton escaped that.
Can I invite you to try dropping thinking? Seeing what there is then?
All or nothing statements require omniscient knowledge, which neither you nor I possess.
Is that thinking?
Yes, as is yours.
Okay, can we try not thinking?
Your life matters.
Usually when we come to practice, we come with the positive draw. I want to discover my true self. I want to discover freedom. I want to discover love. I want to discover belonging. That's what we really want. Belonging. Feel cut off, separate, isolated, lonely individual in this outer objective world with all the other people and situations not of our control. But when we ask, who am I really? We don't trust our thinking, we don't trust our conditioning, we don't trust what someone is telling us, we don't trust what some book tells us, written by someone we don't know. Eventually we don't trust any of that. Ultimately, we can listen, see how it resonates with us. We let go of it all. What can I not doubt? What's always right here? And when we start to focus in, when we start to appreciate what we've always had, this present awareness. It's not our personal creation. It's not our responsibility. It's not our duty. We don't have to struggle to keep it going. We don't have to search to make it better. We're relieved of all of that. When we discover that awareness, it's good for nothing. And that's so relieving. Not for something else. It's already complete.
Without hunger, we would starve. far as it signifies emptiness, your teacher may concur.
I think just the phrase good for nothing is kind of linguistically confusing, and if it's rephrased as not good for future attainments or whatever.
Well, he's doing that on purpose. I mean, I don't know the Japanese he used, but he's using that phrase purposely, humorously, and to raise the fact that normally we think good for nothing is worthless. Useless is worthless, because things that are worthy are things that we're going to use to get some end. And he's saying useless is the most worthy. So it's a startling juxtaposition. So maybe we don't want to get rid of the startlingness of it. Just like become completely hopeless. It's not supposed to sound comfortable. It's supposed to startle you looking at things a different way. So it's really, has a lot of teachings. It's trying to juxtapose the relative and the absolute. So the relative, we want to improve ourselves, and that's okay. From the character perspective, we want to improve ourselves. But the ultimate improvement, paradoxically, is letting go of this need to improve. So the ultimate usefulness is to discover what has no use.
Ultimates are themselves useless. It's false hope, according to your teacher. It's a mental projection.
It's all a mental projection. Let's just see what works. What mental projections can get us to more freedom and peace? So check in with yourself whether you're feeling freedom or peace. If you're not feeling freedom or peace, maybe don't start saying words that come out of a place that's not freedom or peace. So just check in. So the whole quote of Sawaki Roshi, at least one whole quote, is Zazen is good for nothing. If you don't understand the Zazen that's good for nothing, then it's really good for nothing. So he moves into the relative then, right? So he's playing with the relative and the absolute. From the relative, we want to do something that's worthwhile. And he's saying if you really want to do something worthwhile, if you really want to do something valuable, discover what's useless. This is very, very hard for our ego. Right? Our ego is based on controlling, manipulating situations to try to get outcomes. It's based on a future projection and how we think we're going to get a happy life by manipulating conditions, finding the right place, the right partner, the right activity, the right wealth, the right health.
Is that not Dharma?
It's natural for human beings, but it doesn't lead to liberation. By paying close attention, we can see that. It leads to excitement sometimes. Sometimes we get excited, we get something we wanted, then it quickly changes. It's not so fulfilling, we want something else. Sometimes we don't get what we want, then it's just very obviously unfulfilling. So when we notice this enough, we get tired of that game. We start to face what is not going into the future, what is not grasping at something, what is beyond hoping to get something. How can I be free of all that? The ego gets very nervous if it doesn't have anything to do. That's why meditation's not easy practice. We just sit still. It's not easy because our mind wants something to do. But somewhere in our heart we know it's already here. It's already here. We don't have to do it. Whatever we're personally trying to create is going to be dissatisfying. But what's ultimately satisfying is what's here already.
Blessed be the eternal. The eternal one is omnipresent. And I am not he. And he is not a man. What is the difference between Brahma and Maya?
Are you asking me? Can you show me Brahma?
Don't know.
Not knowing is most intimate. Can you show me Atma?
Perhaps.
Go ahead.
Perhaps not. What is Maya?
So if you can't show me either of them, don't worry about them. It's just your thinking.
Imagination can be realized.
Yeah, there's lots of phrases you can say, and some of them might be quite beautiful and quite interesting. But how about letting it all go?
Well, some say Maya is the world of change and generation and corruption. Others say that Maya is what's in our mind, our analysis of that world. Still others say Maya is merely fictions or fantasies that have no external basis. And various sages define the terms in different ways and give them different values.
Yeah, it's confusing, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
So to know where your school of thought stands on this.
I don't have a school of thought.
I think this is kind of similar to like my question. I was like hung up on these words by this teacher, and I'm like, you know, there's something to this. I really need to figure this out, and it's like, it's just words, and really, there's just.
You all know the
It's
metaphor of
just
the finger
ridiculous
pointing
to-
at the moon,
yeah.
right? Sorry to interrupt. These words are fingers pointing at the moon. Moon is liberation in this metaphor, okay?
Yeah.
The finger doesn't look anything like the moon. It's really not the moon at all. And if you just look at the finger, it doesn't do anything for you. But sometimes, if it's an eloquent finger, it'll inspire you to turn your head in the direction it's pointing, and then you see the moon. Okay, so all these words are just fingers. They're pointing at a moon, but the finger is nothing. It doesn't look anything like the moon. It's not going to liberate you like the moon. So don't worry about the finger. If the finger's not working, go to another finger.
Today is the 25th day of the moon month. Not many people know that because most people don't look at the moon. They look at the calendar. So I agree. The moon is liberatory.
But this is a metaphor, so I don't mean the actual moon. If you look at the moon and drop your thinking, it's liberatory. But also if you look at a tree and drop your thinking, it's liberatory. If you look at me and drop your thinking, it's liberatory.
This is depending where you start counting. I could have got the count.
Okay.
November is just a fiction of Roman astrologers, but the moon is actually real.
You're doing a very good job at describing Maya for us all.
Well, at least that's an answer to the question.
But this is what Maya is. All kinds of thoughts and ideas, all kinds of words, and then we emotionally react to them and they weigh on us.
Well, some are better than others and some are worse than others.
Mm-hmm.
Why not have better ones? If it's possible.
Why not trying to be free? Why not? Is that English? Why not try to be free?
Why not try to be yoked?
If you want to be yoked, go for it. I think we're all pretty familiar with being yoked already.
There's bad yoga and good yoga. I am yoked to this body. Atman is yoked to this body.
If you say so.
But this body is not Atman.
If you say so.
I believe we are all a reflection of Brahma.
Can anyone show me Brahma? You know what this word means? Some people, maybe not. Brahma. It's the whole, for the whole, ultimate reality. Atma is a word that means your true self. And it's a famous aphorism from Advaita that I'm sure Jared knows, that Atma is Brahma. They're not different. But if we want to move from just the realm of thinking and philosophy, which holds us down, we have to be able to show what Atma is, show what Brahma is. Can anyone do that?
If Brahma is omnipresent, then cannot be realized as a statue.
No, we've seen Maya already. Now we want to show Atma or Brahma. Either one.
The omnipresent cannot be seen with human eyes.
No, we've done Maya already. We're all showing Atma, we're all showing Brahma. Sometimes you can do something to help people see that. But you're always showing it, so don't worry.
I agree.
Good. I'm in agreement. Does anyone have something else they want to bring up? One of my other favorite quotes of Sawaki Roshi is, if it weighs on your mind, it's wrong. He's good at pithy dramatic statements.
It's heavy.
If it weighs on your mind, it's wrong. It's a mistake. You are invited to drop it.
It may not be necessary.
Because presence, as it's happening, when you're just with presence, it's just delight. There's no weight. Diving into this experience of awareness right now. There's no weight, there's no burden. This is always where your freedom lies, only right here. Anything else is pulling you away into some kind of weight, some kind of difficulty. So it's so simple. And yet our karmic tendencies are strong and repetitive, so we have to have patience and just let go over and over again. Okay, anything else? All right, let's do our closing.